Hello, and welcome to the 643rd edition of the Bridgewater Talking News for Wednesday, the 13th of October 2021. I'm Paul, and I'm your editor this week, and our readers are Anne, Deborah, Wendy H., Pat, Sarah, Shirley, and Marion. And we're reading, as usual, from the Bridgewater Mercury and the Burnham and Highbridge News. The sun rises this week at 7:30 a.m. and it sets at 20 past 6 in the evening. I've got a couple of anniversaries for you for the 13th of October. Back in the Roman Empire days, this was the day that Nero succeeded Claudius and the whole place fell to ruin. But more recently, in 1884, the 13th of October was the official date in which the zero meridian that goes through Greenwich was actually established. And if it's your birthday today, on the 13th of October, then you share it with Lady Jane Grey, who was Queen of England for just 9 days. And on the political side, you share it with Maggie Thatcher, who was born in 1925, and also with Edwina Currie, who was born in 1941, which of course makes it her 80th birthday. First of all, the announcements. Bob Lawrence of Moorland, formerly of Burnham-on-Sea, passed peacefully away on the 24th of September, and he was 77. Sadly missed by all his family and friends, the funeral service will take place at Sedgemoor Crematorium on Thursday the 21st of October at 2 p.m. Family flowers only, please, but donations, if desired, for the cat's protection may be sent to R. Millard & Son, Funeral Directors, 6 Springfield Road, Highbridge. Cynthia Joy Hall of Burnham-on-Sea passed peacefully away on the 7th of September, aged 83. Dearly loved wife of the late Martin, much loved mum to Jonathan and Justine, beloved mother-in-law to Helen and Nigel, cherished grandmother to Alexander, Felicity, Jacob, Reuben and Nicole. Her funeral service has already taken place. Kenneth George Burston passed away peacefully on the 22nd of September, aged 96. He was much loved by all of his family and friends, and will be greatly missed by all who knew him. His funeral service has already taken place. Enid Amelia Walker of Burnham-on-Sea, formerly of Pollitt, passed away peacefully at Tudor Lodge on the 29th of September, and she was aged 100. Much loved wife of the late Wilf, beloved mother and grandmother, she'll be sadly missed by all her family and friends. A funeral service will be at St. John the Baptist Church, Pollitt, on Wednesday the 20th of October at 11 a.m, followed by interment. Family flowers only, please. Donations, if desired, for Leukemia UK may be sent to Macbeth Funeral Services, 4 Regent Street, Burnham-on-Sea. Nick Lafort sadly passed away on the 1st of October, aged 46. Beloved son, dad, partner and brother, the biggest of hearts and characters. He is so very much missed by all who knew and loved him. His funeral will take place on Friday the 22nd of October at 11 a.m. at St. Mary's Church, North Petherton, followed by a private burial. Family memory in aid of St. Mary's Church may be given by either retiring collection or through Wallace Stewart Funeral Directors, TA6 6PZ. Gordon, known as Percy Smith of Bridgewater, passed away peacefully at Musgrove Gate. He'll be sadly and greatly missed by all his family and friends. A funeral service will be held at Sedgemoor Crematorium on Wednesday the 20th of October at 1 p.m. Family flowers only, please, and donations, if desired, to the British Heart Foundation can be sent to H. Biffin & Sons Limited, 32 Wemden Road, Bridgewater. Roger Lockyer of Aller passed away peacefully at the Rosary Care Home on the 3rd of October, and he was 77. Roger will be sadly and greatly missed by his loving family and friends. A funeral service will be held at St. Andrew's Church, Aller, on Wednesday the 20th of October at 11 a.m, followed by an interment in the church cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Donations in memory of Roger for St. Andrew's Church, Aller, may be left at the church or forwarded to Bridgewater Funeral Services, 15 Bristol Road, Bridgewater. Derek George, known as Fred, farmer of Catcott, passed away peacefully on the 25th of September, aged 94. His funeral service has already taken place. Caleb Bowers of Bridgwater passed away peacefully on the 24th of September, aged 63. Loving dad, granddad and brother, he'll be sadly missed by all his family and many friends. A funeral service will be held at St Mary's Church, Bridgwater, on Tuesday the 19th of October at 11 a.m. Flowers may be sent to H. Biffin & Sons Limited, 32 Wemden Road, Bridgwater. John Jensen of Bridgwater, formerly of Taunton, passed away peacefully at his home, surrounded by love, on the 2nd of October, and he was 65. John will be sadly and greatly missed by his loving partner Mandy, his best friend Julie, and many friends. A funeral service will be held at Sedgemoor Crematorium on Friday the 22nd of October at 12 noon. Family flowers only, please, and donations in memory of John for St Margaret's Hospice may be left at the crematorium or forwarded to Bridgwater Funeral Services, 15 Bristol Road, Bridgwater. Florence Evelyn, known as Eve Higgins, previously of North Petherton, passed away peacefully on Tuesday the 28th of September, aged 95. Dearly loved wife to Den, now you've reunited, beloved mum to Adrian and Anne, stepmum to Martin, loving grandmother and great-grandmother, Eve will be greatly missed. A funeral service will be held at Taunton Dean Crematorium on Monday the 18th of October at 11 a.m. Family flowers only, please. Donations in memory of Eve for PDSA may be given at the service or sent to Taunton Funeral Services, 55 Bridge Street, Taunton.
Warning of bumper council tax rises. Council tax may need to rise by up to 5% a year for the next 3 years to keep services running and pay for social care reforms, an influential think tank has warned. The Institute for Fiscal Studies, IFS, said that under current government spending plans, a rise of at least 3.6% on council tax bills will be needed per year just for town halls to keep services running at the levels seen before the coronavirus pandemic. But the researchers said this would likely be a minimum requirement, with extra cost pressures and demand potential, meaning bills could rise by up to 5% every year up to 24/25. And they said social care aims announced by the government last month are currently underfunded and will cost £5 billion a year in the long term, almost 3 times the additional funding allocated over the next 3 years. The stark warning comes in a pre-release chapter of the IFS Green Budget, the rest of which will be launched closer to the planned budget and spending review later this year. Kate Ogden, a research economist at IFS and an author of the chapter, said, "The government has stepped up with billions in additional funding for councils to support them through the last 18 months. It is likely to have found billions more for councils over the next couple of years if they are to avoid cutting back on services, even if they increase council tax by 4% a year or more. The coming financial year is likely to be especially tough, with the likelihood of at least some ongoing COVID-19 related pressures and a particularly tight overall spending envelope penciled in. At the same time, government needs urgently to deal with a local government funding system, which is becoming hopelessly out of date, being based on population levels and characteristics of 2013. This results in manifest unfairness in the distribution of resources between councils. The IFS said that the council tax rises alone would not be enough to deal with the pressure, and a £2.7 billion funding gap in 2022-23, even with a 4% increase on bills in April 2022. The Local Government Association, LGA, said ministers would not be able to rely on council tax rises alone. James Jameson, LGA chairman, and councils continue to face severe funding and demand pressures that will stretch the local services our communities rely on to the limit. Securing the long-term sustainability of local services must therefore be the top priority in the spending review. The significant financial pressures facing local services cannot be met by council tax income alone. Councils are particularly alarmed that the government's solution for tackling social care's core existing pressures appears to be solely through the use of council tax and the social care precept.
Limit on new patients at doctor's surgery. A Somerset doctor's surgery is restricting the number of new patients who can register with it due to ongoing staff shortages. Burnham and Barrow Medical Centre lies on the B3140 Love Lane, just over the road from the town's community hospital and a short walk from the town centre and seafront. The surgery has experienced a huge increase in demand for its services over the last 12 months, and its ability to respond to this has been hampered by non-COVID staff sickness and the timings of annual leave. To combat this, the surgery has been given the authority to restrict which new patients can and cannot register with its GPs, treating each potential new patient on a case-by-case basis. The Somerset Clinical Commissioning Group, the CCG, has also given the surgery the power to limit the number of appointments it can offer for non-urgent care. An update on the surgery's fortunes was published ahead of a meeting of the CCG's Commission Committee on Wednesday morning, September 29th. Tanya Whittle, the CCG's Deputy Director for Contracting, said this was a particularly challenging time for the practice and that everything possible was being done to ease their predicament. She said in her written report they are facing a shortage of clinical and reception staff due to non-COVID related staff sickness and pre-booked annual leave. Patients can continue to access the practice in the usual way, but due to the high volumes of phone calls, it is recognised that patients have been experiencing difficulty accessing the practice and it has taken longer for calls to be answered. The practice has had a 27% increase in patient contacts from July 2020 to July 2021. This is in addition to the increasing volumes of administration that comes as a result of the pandemic and the need to support the NHS as a whole around waiting times and both urgent and routine access. We are working closely with the practice to help resolve these issues as quickly as possible, working alongside our wider health and care partners to address the issue. The CCG has approved a temporary list closure, meaning the practice can consider new patient applications on a case-by-case basis, rather than simply having to accept all new or transferring patients. Under this system, the medical centre can decline to accept a new patient where there are reasonable, non-discriminatory grounds for doing so. For instance, there is another surgery near to them which could accept them. Ms Whittle said this measure has been in place since August the 31st, but declined to reveal how long it would be needed. She added the centre is needing to limit the number of appointments available for non-urgent care to enable them to safely manage urgent patient requests. The action allows the practice to focus resources on providing a safe service for its current patients and make progress against an agreed action plan.
Sedgemoor Masquerade Week set to replace Carnival in Bridgwater and Burnham-on-Sea. Although there will not be a traditional Carnival week in Sedgemoor this year, there will be a variety of smaller events to commemorate the Gunpowder Plot. Carnivalites in the district are hosting Sedgemoor Masquerade Week at the end of October, beginning of November, with a variety show, firework displays, street entertainment and a costume parade. Organisers of Bridgwater Carnival and Burnham-on-Sea Carnival joined forces after the carnival processions and concerts were cancelled for a second year running. Dave Croker, chairman of Bridgwater Guy Fawkes Carnival Committee, said, Despite the fact that our carnival concerts and illuminated carnival processions, which we know and love, will not return to their full glory until 2022, it really is positive to be in a position to organise some much needed entertainment and enjoyment for the town. So many community events have been cancelled due to the pandemic, and even though we will not have a single carnival cart in sight, these low-key and symbolic activities which we're planning will hopefully put a smile back on all of your faces and help us prepare for the 2022 carnival season. The week will consist of the following events. Firstly, in Bridgwater, variety show at Bridgwater Town Hall, October the 31st to November the 4th. Performances start at 3 p.m. on Sunday and 7 p.m. on Monday to Thursday. A firework display at St Matthew's Field on November the 5th. Car parking on the field from 6 p.m. £5 per car with proceeds to the official carnival charity. A fun fair will also be present in St Matthew's Field. Street entertainment, grand costume parade, Bridgwater Town Centre, November the 6th. At 2:30 p.m, street entertainment begins. At 5:30 p.m, there will be a grand costume parade, followed by a simultaneous squibbing display. At 7:30, there will be a virtual carnival called Throughout the Decades. Secondly, in Burnham-on-Sea, a firework display on the Esplanade, November the 7th. Grand costume parade, November the 8th. Arthur Lee, president of Bridgwater Gangs and Features, said, "Due to the pandemic and like many other events around the country, we have been unable to hold our annual carnival concerts and old folk show now for the past 2 years. This unique variety show gives everyone in carnival the opportunity to work together again in a socially distanced and COVID-secure way, and I'm really looking forward to seeing our carnivalites back on the stage and entertaining the public again." The tickets, sponsored by Reflections, cost £5 and can be bought from the Carnival Centre or by calling 01278 428 220. Councillor Lee Redman, Mayor of Bridgwater, added, "All funds raised from the performances will go towards carnival funds. As well as giving Bridgwater Guy Fawkes Carnival a massive reboot, it will also be a great boost for our town and the local economy. Bridgwater Carnival means a lot to our town. It's a big part of our community, and as Mayor it gives me great pleasure to help in this way. I cannot wait to see the show, and I would like to thank all of the carnivalites involved for their tremendous efforts."
Plans for 25 new homes in Ashcott. A small Somerset village could soon welcome 25 new low-cost homes if plans are approved. The Live West Housing Association has applied to build the homes on the charity farm site on Middle Street in Ashcott. The homes form part of the company's pledge to deliver more than 600 new homes in rural locations by 2024, with the Ashcott site being targeted for completion by the end of 2022/2023. Sedgemoor District Council is expected to make a decision on the proposals before the end of the year. The charity farm site lies at the eastern edge of the village, south of the existing homes on Gleebland Close and north of a right-of-way leading towards Buscott and Shapwick. Access to the new homes will be from Middle Street, with a play area being provided near the junction and the homes bending around the existing farm buildings. The properties will range from one-bedroom flats to four-bedroomed houses, with 5 of the properties being offered as shared ownership and the remaining 20 being affordable rent dwellings. A spokesman for Live West said, "The mix of homes, their size and style aims to provide a range of house types to create a mixed community and reflect local housing need. We want to create a development with its own sense of identity, grouped around an open landscape space at the centre of the site, and to protect the amenity of the adjacent homes at Gleebland Close by placing private garden areas adjacent to existing gardens on this side of the site." Ashcott lies on a busy A39 Bath Road, which connects commuters to Street and Glastonbury in the east over the border in the Mendip district, and the M5 and Bridgwater in the west. The proposals for the £90 million scheme are currently being refined, with a view to construction beginning sometime in 2023. To reduce congestion and encourage more sustainable transport, residents of the new charity farm homes are being provided with cycle spaces, with the new estate also connecting up to the existing public right-of-way.
Dino Mania show coming to Taunton. Please forgive me because this has got lots of names of dinosaurs, so if my tongue trips, I'm sorry. A fun-filled dinosaur experience is coming to Taunton next month. Children and adults will be able to learn all about these fascinating creatures at the Dinomania show on Sunday, November the 28th. The event at Taunton Vale Sports Club follows an appearance at the same venue earlier this month. The rangers will be on hand to talk to you about the dinosaurs. You'll be able to check out a mini museum with real fossils, replica and lots of fun facts. The exhibit includes items from all your favourites, including T-Rex, Spinosaurus, Triceratops, Stegosaurus and other dinosaurs. There are even some marine reptiles and prehistoric creatures. You can meet and greet baby dinosaurs held by the rangers. With lots of babies, you'll be introduced to Triceratops, baby raptors, Brachiosaurus and even a cheeky Pteranodon. There will be a dinosaur workshop to take part in. And the show also features large walking dinosaurs such as T-Rex, Utahraptor and a huge Allosaurus little AL. Recommended ages are 3 to 14, but be warned, the large dinosaurs are very big and realistic, so there is a mild scare factor for you to keep in mind when booking. There are 2 show times on the day.
Uproar as cars not allowed on beach. Almost 900 people have signed a petition protesting at a council's decision to close a popular beach to cars over the winter. Sedgemoor District Council closed Barrow Beach at the end of September and will not reopen it until Easter. Rita Morgan set up the petition to complain that locals are being inconvenienced by the move and calling for a rethink. She said, Barrow Beach is being closed to cars for the winter season. This is the first and will greatly inconvenience locals who use the beach out of season when it is quieter with fewer visitors. The council say that there will be nobody to help if drivers get stuck in the beach mud. This really happens in the summer season when visitors do not read the warning signs. Locals are very aware of beach safety. This seems to be a case of the council clawing in as much council tax as possible without giving any consideration to the locals. We want Sedgemoor District Council to rethink this very poor decision and show some more consideration to their local community. So far, the petition has been signed by 886 local people since it was set up 2 days ago. This was on the 7th of October. A Sedgemoor District Council spokesperson said, firstly, most importantly, is the safety issue of some vehicle owners being unaware of the dangers of driving on the soft mud, getting stuck and being caught by fast incoming tides. The beach warden service for Barrow ended at the end of September and will not resume again until Easter. There is therefore no supervision or guidance to vehicle owners unaware of the dangers and who may not be able to get the prompt assistance they may need. In addition, the opening of beach car parking requires daily operation of the gate. The beach access road needs to be cleared of sand regularly to enable vehicle access onto the beach throughout the off-season months. The ramp onto the beach is also likely to require regular attention to ensure safe access onto the beach. The council neither has staff local to Barrow or the number of staff to be able to cover this operation safely on a regular basis. There is no restriction for pedestrian access to the beach through the winter months, so those wishing to walk dogs or take horses onto the beach or simply go for a walk would be able to park on the beach road or locally and walk onto the beach. Funds for Wedmore. Organisers of Wedmore Real Ale Festival gave out £20,000 to local causes this year. At their annual cheque presentation evening, which took place on Saturday, October the 2nd at Wedmore Village Hall, 16 organisations were handed cheques. Around 100 people attended the event, including successful beneficiaries, organisers, past and present volunteers and sponsors. The beneficiaries for 2021 include the Children's Hospice South West, Western Hospice Care, Western Supermare Samaritans, Somewhere House Somerset Limited, Wedmore First School PTA, Wedmore and Axbridge Community Health Fund, and more.
Crash rescue. 4 people became trapped after a 3-vehicle crash near Bridgwater on Thursday, October the 7th. 3 fire engines and a heavy rescue unit from Bridgwater and Glastonbury attended the incident in Middlezoy around 10 o'clock in the evening. There were 4 people trapped in 2 cars. 5 people were taken to hospital via road and air ambulances. 3 casualties were released by fire and ambulance personnel using hydraulic cutting equipment, stabilising equipment, small tools and lighting, said a spokesman from Devon and Somerset Fire and Rescue Service.
Support for workers on strike at Clark's distribution centre in Street. Around 100 workers at a Clark's distribution centre in Somerset walked out this week amid a row over what they claim are fire and rehire tactics at the firm. The shoemaker has been consulting employees on proposed changes to employment terms and conditions, with unions branding the move a fire and rehire scheme, which sees employees told to accept the new conditions or face being sacked. If they accept them, they are rehired under new conditions. Unions say the Clark scheme would see many workers receive a cut in pay, an increase in working hours, cuts in sick pay and a reduction in redundancy entitlements, among others. The firm says the move is to achieve sustainability employment costs and to bring fairness between workers who are currently receiving different rates of pay. This week, the Mendip Trades Council came out in solidarity with the striking workers. Secretary Dave Chappell said, "I have personally met 4 Clark's workers who fear losing their homes and even lose contact with their children." Is this the Clark's Quaker family that was an iconic part of manufacturing in Britain for 200 years? Is this the Clark's family firm that, even when it closed all of its Somerset factories over a 15-year period, nonetheless treated its remaining street HQ and warehouse workers and their trade unions with respect? No. Welcome to the brave new world of Clark's. New owner Lion Rock Capital, Hong Kong-based venture capitalist, hedge fund capitalist, slash and burn capitalist, just pick your most accurate label. Is this really the future for work in this country? No more decent trade union recognitions or collective bargaining negotiations? Just industrial dictatorship. Take it or leave it. Fire and rehire. A Clark spokesperson says, "At our Westway distribution centre, we continue to consult with employees on proposed changes to employment terms and conditions for all operatives. It is crucial that Clark's achieves sustainable employment costs, but it is equally fundamental that it achieves fairness between its distribution operatives where differences in hourly rates of pay currently exist. As the consultation progress is ongoing, we are disappointed that some employees have voted in favour of industrial action. Right from the start, Clark's has taken a constructive and collaborative approach, seeking to reach a compromise and avoid the need to terminate contracts on current terms and offer re-engagement on new terms, which the company has always regarded as a very last resort. We remain hopeful for a constructive conclusion in due course, based on the significant concessions Clark's have made in respect of its proposal of new terms. We can also confirm that the company has contingency plans in place that aim to minimise the impact to our customers as a result of this action. Wipe out wipes to clear Bridgwater's pipes. Wessex Water is calling for its customers in Bridgwater to wipe out wipes after attending almost 200 sewage blockages in the area over the last year, caused by wet wipes being flushed down the toilet. Blockages can lead to sewage backing up into homes, including neighbours of those who have flushed wipes, as well as sewer pipes bursting, which can cause pollution to the local environment. Wet wipes are not designed to break down in sewers in the same way that toilet paper does, so over time they build up and combined with other items that are incorrectly flushed to block sewers, putting entire neighbourhoods at risk. Sewage teams at Wessex Water are urging customers in Bridgwater to try swapping single-use wet wipes for reusable alternatives, such as cleaning cloths and sprays instead of cleaning wipes, or washable face pads instead of makeup removal wipes. George Taylor, Director of Sewerage at Wessex Water, says, "Wet wipes, even those that are branded flushable, are designed to stay intact and therefore not suitable for the sewerage network, which helps human waste break down before it reaches a treatment site. We always tell our customers to flush only the 3 Ps, paper, poo and pee, to minimise the risk of sewage backing up into their homes. By ditching wet wipes for reusable items, not only can we protect our homes, but we can reduce how much of a single-use resource we're using, which further helps the environment. However, we understand that some customers, particularly parents with young children, rely a lot on the convenience of wet wipes. If you're going to use them, we would urge you dispose of them in the bin and not down the toilet."
Boundary change at GP. Several Somerset doctors' surgeries could be placed under greater pressure if plans to change a practice boundary are not properly implemented. The Brent Area Medical Centre in East Brent currently caters for a large number of patients in the villages between Cheddar, Highbridge and Weston-super-Mare. After legal issues came to light, the practice has applied to the Somerset Clinical Commissioning Group, the CCG, to amend its practice boundaries, which would affect which patients can register for its services. But the CCG has pushed back a decision until the surgery can provide evidence that other nearby practices would not be met with an unfeasible rise in new patients from any change. The Brent Area Medical Centre lies on the B3140 Brent Road, a short distance from the busy A370 to Weston-super-Mare and the A38 between Cheddar and Highbridge. In 2018, it emerged that the surgery was using a different practice boundary to the one detailed in its official NHS contract, with further investigations revealing that it had been using this different information since 1992. Tanya Whittle, the CCG's Deputy Director for Contracting, told a meeting of its commissioning committee on September the 29th that officers were proactively working with the practice to resolve the matter. The surgery applied in July to finally change the boundary arguing this would allow it to continue providing valuable services while focusing its attention on areas with high levels of deprivation and social need. However, implementing this change has been delayed to ensure that other neighbouring GP surgeries would not experience a sudden spike in demand from patients having to re-register. Ms Whittle explained in a written report, the application included evidence of engagement with Highbridge and Cheddar medical centres. However, it did not include evidence of engagement with Axbridge or Burnham and Barrow medical centres, which are the other two practices who overlap Brent's boundary. Given ongoing concerns regarding sustainability at Burnham and Barrow, this was noted as a concern, and we have agreed to defer a decision based on a need for further information. The Brent practice has been asked to submit evidence that they have engaged with the other medical centres and that the change will not create additional pressure on practices. Burnham and Barrow Medical Centre has experienced a 27% increase in the numbers of patients registering between July 20 and 21. Staff shortages and pressures of dealing with the coronavirus pandemic has led the CCG to impose a temporary list closure on the practice, meaning any new patients can be refused on a case-by-case basis. Ms Whittle said the Brent surgery boundaries would be reconsidered by the committee at a later date.
60s show. A cast from the West End are taking people back to the swinging 60s at Macmillan Theatre in this weekend. Twist and Shout is on October the 17th at 7:30pm. Visit macmillantheatre.com.
Business owner says High Street is dying. A Bridgwater bookshop owner believes the town's High Street has become forgotten by local authorities in the last year while work has continued on the Northgate Yard development. On Wednesday, September the 29th, around 40 people attended a meeting at Bridgwater Town Hall to discuss the £16 million project, which will see a 7-screen cinema, bowling alley, shopping and dining facilities built on the town centre site. The meeting was hosted by Doug Bamesy and Stuart Martin of Sedgemoor District Council, SDC, and Roger Smith of Bridgwater Chamber of Commerce. It came as work on the first phase of the project was recently completed. The development's initial groundworks are finished and the steel frameworks are in place. Construction of the Northgate development is set to be finished in autumn 2022. But Sam Carr, owner of the Snug Bookshop and Cafe in Bridgwater's East Quay, said independent businesses' frustration and disappointment was made clear at the meeting. She told the New Mercury that some business owners raised concerns about the new development's lack of electric car charging facilities, solar panels and long-stay car parking. The District Council said sustainability is a core priority and that electric vehicle charging points will be introduced when the scheme launches. Sam said, "The High Street is dying. We need investment there. For them to be spending £16 million on a new cinema, it didn't go down very well. Nobody asked if there will be electric car charging points, and the answer was, no, you can't charge your electric car there." Sam says that local businesses are struggling because of high business rates. The Snug Bookshop pays £500 per month. The rising cost of energy and problems caused by the age of some of the High Street's buildings. The local economy is still recovering from the pandemic, with Sam estimating that her business and others are currently working at between 60 to 75% of the income they had before March 2020. Buildings in the town centre are very old, they're all collapsing, and we need regeneration, she said. They just need a bit of love. They need the roofs repairing, the gutters repairing. I think Bridgwater's one of the wettest places in Somerset. Maybe that's why we have a lot of leaking. Some of Bridgwater's independent shops are part of a Totally Locally campaign, which aims to help local businesses support each other and keep money in the local economy. We do think we have been forgotten over the past year, said Sam. SDC has been very absent. I think all this pent-up frustration and disappointment came out of the local businesses at the meeting. There's going to be a hub for businesses starting up in Bridgwater, which is great, but we need something for the old dogs. We're being proactive and we are not going without a fight. Hopefully people start their Christmas shopping soon. Malcolm Calladine of Bedrock Furniture said the meeting was constructive and thinks the Northgate development is ideal for Bridgwater. He told the Mercury that it will allow families to visit entertainment venues without needing to walk through the town in the dark. Malcolm said, "It was quite an intelligent meeting. I think the Northgate development will be a roaring success." SDC said the response of the Northgate development at the meeting was overwhelmingly positive and believes the High Street will benefit from it. A spokesperson for the District Council said, "There was an overwhelmingly positive response to the Northgate Yard development and the investment in the town centre by Sedgemoor District Council at the Bridgwater Chamber meeting held last week. We were pleased to hear such supportive and enthusiastic comments from businesses. We recognise the challenges there are within retail and town centres, not only in Bridgwater, but countrywide. We are seeing some concerns with properties in the town centre with private landlords who have been unable or unwilling to maintain their properties, an issue which was rightly highlighted in the meeting last week. The council has and will continue to do its utmost to support owners and tenants to find solutions. Northgate Yard will bring increased footfall and improved dwell time to the town centre and businesses already based there." Addressing the concerns raised at the meeting about the Northgate development's measures to protect the environment, the council spokesperson said, "Sustainability is one of our core priorities. There will be provision for electric vehicle charging points once the scheme has launched. We are working with other local district councils to develop a joint approach to EV charge points in council car parks. This is in development." The Northgate Yard development is supporting local businesses and employment, ensuring that the local economy is benefiting. 55% of the suppliers working on the development so far are based within a 20-mile radius of Bridgwater. This is a huge investment in the town, and we're committed to benefiting Bridgwater and Sedgemoor at every stage of the process. Roger Smith of Bridgwater Chamber of Commerce thanked everyone that attended for an interactive question and answer session, and also the council for their cooperation.
Tractor and cutter fire. A tractor and a hedge cutter caught fire in a field near Bridgwater on Thursday afternoon, October 7th. 2 fire engines, a water carrier and a 4x4 vehicle from Street and Bridgwater were sent to the incident, which happened at around 1:30 in the afternoon. The cause of the fire was accidental, firefighters said. Upon arrival, crews confirmed there was a fire involving 1 tractor and 1 hedge cutter well alight, said a spokesman for the Devon and Somerset Fire and Rescue Service. Crews set to work to extinguish the fire using the light pump from the 4x4. Both the tractor and hedge cutter were 100% damaged by the fire.
Voice your ideas for Jubilee celebrations. Residents are being asked to help shape celebrations and a memorial for the Queen's Platinum Jubilee next summer. Burnham-on-Sea and Highbridge Town Council is going to light beacons in the parish on June the 2nd, 2022, and is seeking ideas on where these beacons should be located in highly visible coastal locations in both towns. The council will also look to install a permanent memorial to commemorate this momentous occasion, and ideas from those in communities of both towns about where the features should be installed are being invited. People are welcome to be as imaginative as they like, but please bear in mind it is anticipated that the project will be paid for by the Town Council using public funds, says a spokesperson. To share your ideas for prominent beacon locations and a permanent memorial, email them to info@burnham.highbridge/dtowncouncil.gov.uk. As well as this, plans are in motion for a 4-day commemorative celebration of the Queen's Jubilee in Burnham-on-Sea and Highbridge in the first week of June next year. Ideas for these events are being managed by Burnham Visitor Information Centre Tourism Manager Ian Jeffreys. Plans for a street party to take place in Burnham-on-Sea High Street are in the pipeline for June the 2nd, while on Friday, June the 3rd, the Ritz Cinema and Burnham Chamber of Trade is looking to host a Music Through the Rain event, which will feature 50s, 60s and 70s music. On Saturday, June the 4th, there are plans for a live gig to take place in Burnham's Pier Street, featuring music from the 80s until now by local band The River Brew. Finally, parades are planned to march from both Burnham-on-Sea and Highbridge separately on June the 5th. Both parades will set off from the respective towns and will come together at Apex Park, where a community day is planned, which looks to feature stalls and a tea party. Ian said the ideas for the events are in their early stages, and once planned it will be a fabulous 4-day event for both towns to commemorate such a special occasion. We want to encourage both communities in Burnham-on-Sea and Highbridge to actively get involved in the Queen's Platinum Jubilee events next summer, as we want to make sure our communities are heard. If any interested community groups want to get involved in any of these events, email ianfromburnham@gmail.com. Man dies in beach motocross crash. Police have announced that a male had died in a collision involving a motocross bike on Burnham-on-Sea beach. A second male was taken to hospital with serious injuries after the incident on the Monday morning of October the 4th. Police are appealing for witnesses to the fatal collision. Emergency services were called to the scene at about 6:50 a.m. An Avon and Somerset police spokesperson said, "Sadly, a male died at the scene. Although formal identification has not been completed, his family have been notified. A second male has been taken to hospital with serious injuries. Anyone who saw what happened and has not yet spoken to police should call 101.
Bridgewater Care Home celebrates latest inspection verdict. A Bridgewater Care Home has been celebrating a positive inspection report. The latest Care Quality Commission (CQC) inspection of Avalon Nursing Home concluded the home provides a good level of service across the board and highlights the contribution made by Service Manager Jess Hawker. Paul Teasdale, Director of the Camelot Care Group, of which Avalon is part, said, "We are delighted by the commendations given to the CQC by residents, families and members of staff, which demonstrate so well what a fantastic job Jess and her team are doing, and reflect the positive impact of the care they provide on the lives of our residents." One family member told the inspectors they believe their relative is in the best place because he gets the care he needs and is treated with respect from the staff. They added they cannot fault the Avalon team on how they deal with their loved one. You can't say better than that. Inspectors noted that Jess had a clear vision for the service and told them that the Avalon ethos is about creating a holistic approach to dementia and nursing care. She also said the service was proud not to have used agency staff since the previous year, and that they did not admit new residents if their needs could not be met by the existing staff. The staff deserve great acknowledgement for their efforts, and I am extremely proud of them, said Jess. I believe it's really important they should know how much they are appreciated, so we've introduced some new initiatives, including an awards board and an Employee of the Month reward scheme to celebrate staff achievement and dedication. The report describes how Jess promotes a positive culture that is person-centred, open, inclusive and empowering, and which achieves good outcomes for residents. It also detailed how she ensures that residents, families and staff alike are all engaged with making decisions and driving improvement in the service, and that Jess implemented action plans to ensure changes were made effectively and in a timely way. Feedback from staff showed that they were confident about empowering residents to make their own choices and take risks, and they told inspectors that they support people to live their lives in the least restrictive way. They also told the inspectors that they were provided with opportunities to learn and progress. The report noted that the various cultures of the Avalon staff are celebrated, for example with a display in the lounge describing the heritage and education of various members of the team and how they had achieved their qualifications. One of the things that really pleased me was the inspector's acknowledgement that our staff care for people like they would for their own relatives, Jess added, and they recorded that staff were observed adjusting their approach to suit people's individual personalities, giving special attention to a colleague who sat with one of the residents, speaking calmly and intermittently. This was because they'd taken the trouble to understand them and connect at the right level. The individual's relative told the inspectors that this resident would get fed up with too much chatter. I am incredibly proud of the way my team pull together and the level of service they provide, and it's simply wonderful to receive the official endorsement of this report.
Crash tribute. The family of a 57-year-old man who died at the scene of a single-vehicle collision have released a photo and tribute. Robin Withers from Shepton Mallet was the driver of the black Chrysler Cruiser involved in a collision on a farm track off East Street Lane, West Pennard, on Saturday, October the 2nd. The tribute reads, "All of Robin's family and friends are devastated by this loss, and we would ask people to please respect our privacy at this very difficult time. We would also like to thank all the emergency services who tried so very hard to save Robin. Our lives have been changed forever." Mr. Withers, who was driving the car, tragically died after his vehicle ended up in a ditch. A passenger managed to call the emergency services and was rescued. Call 101 with reference 5221230163.
Driver on mobile phone slams into a stationary Land Rover. Police have issued a video of a driver on his mobile phone who slammed into the back of a Land Rover. The footage was recorded on Mark Laughlin's own dash cam ahead of the collision on a roundabout in Somerset. Laughlin, 50, admitted driving without due care and attention after causing the crash while using his mobile phone. He was sentenced at Bath Magistrates Court earlier this month to a £482 fine, 9 penalty points, and must pay £110 costs and a £48 victim surcharge. The incident took place at about 1:15 p.m. on September the 29th last year as Laughlin from Yate drove his Citroën Rally on the A370. Shortly after the East Brent roundabout, his mobile phone rang. He can be heard saying, "Hang on," as he attempts to connect the phone to his Bluetooth hands-free kit. He then collides with a Land Rover Discovery after failing to notice that it was stationary and indicating right to turn into Old Bristol Road. The driver of the Discovery, a woman in her 60s, was initially trapped in her vehicle and was later taken to hospital to be treated for her injuries. Lachlan suffered no injuries. Both cars suffered significant damage. PC Owen Davis, investigating officer, said, "The shocking footage of this incident clearly illustrates the danger of driving whilst distracted. An innocent motorist suffered significant injuries. We are fortunate not to be talking fatalities. Driver distraction is one of the 5 fatal main causes of serious injuries and death on the roads. Research shows that drivers using a phone, handheld or hands-free, are 4 times more likely to be involved in a collision, and their driving is impaired to a degree similar to that of a drink driver."
Durley Water Treatment Centre scheme going well. Wessex Water's £50 million drinking water project near Bridgwater is progressing well, despite the challenges of the pandemic. Work started on the Durley Water Treatment Centre scheme in 2019. Drawing from Durley Reservoir to the west, the old centre needed extensive reconstruction to ensure it continues to deliver the highest quality drinking water to a population of 44,500. It's the largest single value scheme delivered by Wessex Water's Engineering and Sustainable Delivery, ESD, department. Upgraded treatment processes will ensure Durley helps to meet the company's long-term strategy for Somerset, with water due to be put back into supply from the site next year. Project manager Nigel Coates said, "We're progressing on programme and within budget, despite some unique challenges posed by COVID-19. We closed the site for a week at the start of the pandemic, conducted a project and site assessment with new rules drawn on social distancing, and reduced the maximum number of people able to attend site safely. This could easily have caused major delays to such a complex and large-scale project. So everyone in our ESD team and all our partners deserves enormous credit for ensuring that hasn't happened." Much of the old centre has been demolished and outdated equipment decommissioned, but Wessex Water has been able to repurpose or recycle around 30% of structures to ensure value for money. New Avon and Somerset police officer verification process. From last Wednesday, Avon and Somerset Police have introduced a new officer verification process for members of the public who would like to confirm the identity of any officer they come into contact with. The move follows the nationwide anger at the murder of Sarah Everard by a serving Metropolitan Police officer. A Force spokesperson said, "We fully recognise the onus is on us as a police service to reassure people who have concerns about lone officers and the reason for their interaction with them. As such, all our officers will provide their name and collar number to anyone who asks and will call the control room on their police radio, asking an operator to confirm their identity and location, putting their radio on loudspeaker so the member of the public can hear the response." As well as verbally confirming the officer's identity, the control room operator will also send a reference number to the officer's radio, which the member of the public can visually check. All officers are equipped with body-worn video cameras, and they will also make clear to people it is switched on and recording. Officers are unable to edit or wipe footage from these body-worn cameras. Of course, if the member of the public prefers, they can also call the control room themselves on 101 or 999 if they feel in danger. The same verification process will be then followed, with a reference number provided to the caller and sent to the officer's radio. Men police wish to speak to about Plymouth robbery may be in Somerset. Police believe 2 men they wish to speak to in connection with a robbery may be in Somerset. Devon and Cornwall Police have issued CCTV images of two men they believe may have information about the robbery in Plymouth. A spokesperson said it is believed the pair may have travelled to the Avon and Somerset area. The incident took place at around 8:15 a.m. on Monday, October the 4th. A woman in her 60s on a mobility scooter was approached while at the Lloyd's cash machine at the Broadway. She was forced into withdrawing cash, which was then stolen from her. Officers would like to identify the men pictured, as they believe they may be able to assist with their inquiries.
Hello everybody, Pat here with the next part of a chapter called Child's Play from Roger Evans's book, Somerset Born, Somerset Bred. This section is called A Checkered Past, with checkered in inverted commas. We also collected cheques. Not far from our home, the local cellophane factory had purchased a disused clay pit and used it to dump their waste, including lots of official paperwork. In those days, every financial transaction was done by cheque or cash. Large companies could get through thousands of cheques, and these ended up in the landfill rubbish. It was easy to get into the tip area, just slipping under the fence, and there we would collect the cheques, always looking for the high-value ones. We were probably no more than 6 or 7 years old at the time. Playing around the pits, in theory, could be quite dangerous. They were deep and more than one child drowned in them. There was one such pit which had actually been a dry dock at one time, where the last wooden ketch to be launched from Bridgwater had been built. I think that was the Irene, wasn't it? It was here that one of our close friends drowned, when sadly there were none of us there to help him. Shortly after, the council had the pit filled in. Equally dangerous were the docks. Not that we ever saw danger, simply the fascination of the ships from faraway lands with crews who spoke in foreign tongues. Most of the dock traffic was coastal shipping bringing coal from South Wales, but there were timber boats from Scandinavia and Poland and coal boats from Germany and Russia. We would try to talk with a crew whose knowledge of English was crude, but just enough for all concerned to have a good laugh. Though perhaps they shouldn't have encouraged us to linger around the dockside. I guess we reminded them of their families they were missing at home. One boat permanently resident in the docks was Bertha, the dredger designed by Brunel. Relentlessly she ploughed her way up and down the docks, dragging the silt which collected at the bottom of the basin up to the lock gates where it could be flushed out at low tide. Living so near the river, we were always aware of the tides and what that meant for the tidal bore, which sweeps its way up the river twice daily. In the spring and in the spring and autumn, these tidal waves could be a foot or two high, and on the high spring tides, we had regular and predictably flooding in the town centre. A visit to the town centre today will reveal a high wall on the way along the river to prevent flooding. But in my childhood, we took the floods in our stride. My wife was the eldest of 9 children who all attended the local Roman Catholic school, which was a matter of yards from the riverbank. Most homes in the town kept a tide timetable, hers included. Each morning during the flood risk period, her mother would check the tables for the times and height of the tide, and from that make the decision as to whether her flock would wear shoes or Wellington boots to school, knowing the only access to the school was frequently through floodwater. I can remember it was just bars along the riverside, wasn't it? Just to stop people going on to the riverbank, but then the riverbank was a lot narrower then than it is now. When I worked at Bridgwater Hospital, I worked with a lady, Joyce Ford, who had worked there for donkey's years. And she told stories of when it flooded, that the flood came through the front of the hospital, which was up 2 steps, out through the casualty department and out through the door at the back where X-ray was, and it would just go sweep through the hospital, and then there was all the fun of clearing it up afterwards. Glad I wasn't at work then.
Short story by Kate Blackadder. Spring again. Finding fault was second nature to Susan. Could Meg persuade her to look on the bright side of life? My cousin Susan has never been the cheeriest person. Even on this glorious September afternoon, she's no different. She says the leaves turning brown remind her that we're in the autumn of our lives. When we sit down, I want to tell her my news, but now she's going on about her daughter-in-law, Georgia. We're in my garden with tea and a freshly baked orange cake. Whiskers is leaping towards a butterfly. I try to draw Susan's attention to the cat, but she's having none of it. She lets Lyra play on her tablet thing. Don't you think that's ridiculous? When we were kids, we watched Wooden Tops or Sooty, I remind her. A tablet is more stimulating for a 4-year-old. Ha! Susan snorts. You don't have grandchildren, so how would you know? I do have a tablet, though, I say. You can make lovely pictures with a painting app. What app? What's wrong with paper and crayons? I didn't resort to gadgets when John was small. Susan's hand hovers over the cake. Go on, spoil yourself, I say. Georgia's out at work all day, Susan, and there's a baby to see us all, to see to, as well as when she comes home. Cut her a bit of slack. Georgia and John are a 21st century couple, working and trying to have a family life as well. In a way, I think Susan's jealous. She'd like to have resumed nursing when John went to school, but her late husband thought it was his job to support his family. Besides, I add, there weren't any gadgets back then. You have to move with the times. But you don't have grandchildren, Meg, or children, Susan says again. I am aware of that, I say. I had a high-flying job with no time for settling down. My choice, and I have no regrets. Sorry, Susan pats my hand, me and my mouth. I hug my secret to myself for a little longer. First some plain seeking to my cousin, my oldest and dearest friend. Yes, Susan, you and your mouth. You do have grandchildren and a son, and all you do is moan. Georgia's a sweet, kind girl. You're lucky. Susan's looking stricken. I keep quiet when I'm with them, she says defensively. I can imagine her lips pursed, not saying anything, but speaking volumes. Yes, you vent to me instead. Susan slumps in the deck chair, as if the stuffing has gone out of her. Lyra likes her other granny better, she says. Who can blame her? George's mother is younger, and I don't know, fluffier. Of course she doesn't prefer her, I say. She only sees her twice a year when she comes over from the States bearing gifts. That's exciting for a child, but you're the one picking up her from nursery and everything. I hear her speaking to John and calling me Granny Cross. There's a catch in Susan's voice. Everyone gets cross occasionally. Small children are tiring to look after, especially when you're in the autumn of your life, I say, wickedly. Susan gives me a reluctant smile. I know, I'm a glass half empty type. Must try to get over it. I wondered about asking if Lyra could stay for a sleepover one Saturday. Would you come too? I'd love to. We could make popcorn and play hide and seek and... See, you're the fun great aunt. We'll all have fun, I say, and Lyra can show you how to use the tablet John gave you. Whiskers strolls past, and I lift him to my knee. I'm glad you've got another cat, Susan says. Company for you. What? What have I said now? I'm blushing. That's my news. I'm going to be a granny too, kind of. What do you mean? Is Whiskers having kittens? I laugh. Whiskers is a tom. No. Remember when I was looking for another cat, a friend said she'd heard of a litter belonging to a neighbour. Turns out cats weren't all we had in common. We've been seeing one another. Susan's draw drops. You never said. Henry's a widower, 4 children and 9 grandchildren. We're getting married in March. 9? Susan picks up her jaw. That's amazing. I'm pleased for you, Meg. I can't wait to meet him. On cue, the garden gate opens. You won't have to wait any longer. I'm filled with joy as Henry raises his hand in greeting and comes up the path. The autumn of our lives. In my heart it's spring. The end.
And finally, here's a story about an atheist and a bear. An atheist was taking a walk through the woods, admiring all that evolution had created. What majestic trees, what powerful rivers, what beautiful animals, he said to himself. As he was walking along the river, he heard a rustling in the bushes behind him. When he turned to see what the cause was, he saw a 7-foot grizzly charging right towards him. He ran as fast as he could. He looked over his shoulder and saw that the bear was closing in on him. He ran even faster, crying in fear. He looked over his shoulder again, and the bear was even closer. His heart was pounding, and he tried to run even faster, but of course he tripped and fell on the ground. He rolled over to pick himself up, but saw the bear right on top of him, reaching for him with his left paw, and raising his right paw to strike him. At that moment the atheist cried out, "Oh my God, help!" Time stopped. The bear froze, the forest was silent. Even the river stopped moving. As a bright light shone upon the man, a voice came out of the sky. "You deny my existence for all these years. You teach others I don't exist, and even credit creation to a cosmic accident. Do you expect me to help you out of this predicament? Am I to count you as a believer?" The atheist looked directly into the light. "It would be hypocritical of me to suddenly ask you to treat me as a Christian now. But, well, perhaps you could make the bear a Christian?" "Very well," said the voice. Then the light went out, the river ran again, and the sounds of the forest resumed. And then the bear dropped his right paw, brought both paws together, bowed his head and spoke, and said, "Lord, for this food which I am about to receive, I am truly thankful."
This service is brought to you by the Bridgwater Talking News, charity number 1138402, and is recorded at Holy Trinity Church, Bridgwater on Wednesday evenings. You can listen online at any time on the website bridgwater talkingnews.org.uk, and also by telephone with a local call to 01278 247 347. That's 01278 247 347. Just follow the simple instructions. You can also leave any comments and suggestions you have there. Whichever method you use, you'll find several previous editions available and other information helpful to the blind and partially sighted, including information from Somerset Sight and their services. Our email address is inquiries@bridgwatertalkingnews.org.uk.